I'm going to show you how to tune your LML Duramax with EZ-Lynk. We're also going to install a switch to switch between 5 power levels. And this will be the same from 2011 to 2016 LML Duramax. So I got this kit from the Diesel Dudes. It comes with the EZ-Lynk tuner and a switch. It also comes with a new exhaust and an EGR delete kit, basically everything you need to delete your truck. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check out the kit. The Diesel Dudes is who I strongly recommend you purchase these kits from. The products are great, tunes are awesome, and I custom make these videos specific to their kits. So if you buy one of their kits, you can just follow along my videos and it's super easy for you. But in this video, we're just going to go over the tuning and switch install procedure. I'm going to post another video after showing how to actually swap the exhaust and fully delete your EGR. I'll also post a link in the description to that video once it's uploaded. You always want to tune your truck first before you start ripping stuff off of it. But really quick, I make these videos for anyone in the world to watch. In a lot of places, they don't care if you delete your truck, but in some places it's illegal. So if you're thinking about doing this to your truck, first look up your local laws. If it's illegal where you live, I don't recommend you do this. But anyways, let's get this thing tuned. So the first thing you want to do is throw a battery charger on it. I have this set to 10 amps, but anywhere between about 5 to 15 amps is great for tuning. You're going to pull your EZ-Lynk auto agent out of the box and then plug it into your OBD plug like that. Now you're going to have to download the EZ-Lynk auto agent app and create an account. And then you're going to go into your phone's Wi-Fi and you're going to connect to the EZ-Lynk Wi-Fi, and that's how you're going to connect to the truck. So I'm going to do that right now. Then I'm just going to screen record my phone and I'm going to add my voice to it and I'll walk you through how to tune your truck. Also, make sure the key is in the run position. And then for the climate, I always just shut this off, make sure the volume's off just to reserve battery power. So in your settings, make sure you're connected to the EZ-Lynk Wi-Fi, and then you're going to open up the auto agent app. So as soon as you open up the app, it's going to connect to the vehicle, and then this message should pop up basically saying the vehicle is set to link with the diesel techs. You're going to just select link. If yours doesn't for some reason pop up, then you can just put the dieseltext@gmail.com and link with the truck manually, but 9 out of 10 times it should do this on its own. So we're going to hit link. You're just going to select continue. And then for tire size, just pick the tire size closest to your vehicle. If you have stock tires, just select stock, and then top right, hit next. For the speed limiter, you can pick whatever you want. I'm going to pick removed for this truck and then hit next. For gear ratio, I don't even know what's in this truck. I'm just going to hit stock, next. Fuel tank, stock, next. For this, I'm just going to write Diesel Dudes Delete Kit. Done. There we go. All those tunes loading at the bottom of the screen. Those are all different ECU profiles that you can program onto the truck. So in the top left, those 3 lines, we're going to hit that. It's going to bring this menu up, and we're going to select vehicle. Once you're in the vehicle page, you're going to go to ECU profiles. So you have a couple of different tunes, like you can return your truck to stock here, but we want to go into the custom tunes folder. You'll see more folders in here. So the top says recommended tunes, and that's what I recommend you use. If you open up that folder, you're going to have single tunes or shift on the fly tunes. So if you just go to single tunes, you can put a 30 horsepower, a 70 horsepower, or 140 horsepower tune on your truck. But on this truck, we're going to do a shift on the fly tune. So in the shift on the fly folders, you have 2 right here. The top one that says LBF, that means low boost fueling. That one's going to smoke a little bit more. And then the bottom one is just the normal one. So if you click on just the normal one, it's going to give you some information as to what the tune is all about. If we go back just to mess around a little bit, if we go into the non-recommended tunes, like single tunes here, if you have a CP3 swap, there's CP3 tunes. If we go back, there's CP4. The truck comes stock with a CP4. And there's a bunch of different ones to choose from if you want. But again, we're going to recommended tunes. We're going to shift on the fly tunes because we're installing the switch. And then we're just going to do this bottom one here, 15 to 16 LML. If you have a 11 to 14, make sure yours says 11 to 14 or whatever year your truck is in front of it. But we're going to open up this tune. This is the one we want. There's a little cloud at the top right. We're going to click that cloud, and then it's going to download the tune to your phone. Once you have the tune downloaded like this, you're just going to hit install. It's going to say this is going to update the following modules of the ECM, and you're going to hit proceed. Then basically we're just going to follow the prompts. So it wants you to turn the key off, hit continue, turn the key back to run, hit continue. And now it is programming the truck. So just don't touch anything. Don't open the doors, don't adjust the radio or anything, just let it sit and program the truck. This is probably going to take about 10 minutes, give or take. It will stay stuck on 0 for a little bit. That's totally normal. All right, we are almost done tuning. 99%, and okay, it's finished. So now turn the key off, hit continue, turn the key back on, hit continue. It said installation was completed successfully. Let's go. So now if we go back, hit back again. So you can go down into TCM tunes here. There's a few different tunes to choose from if you want to tune your transmission. The top one is just return your transmission to stock. Then this middle one says high shift points, standard stock trans rated line pressure. So if you just have a stock transmission, you could run this one. The bottom one, I don't know what the bottom one is. Everything says stock. But honestly, I'm not going to tune the transmission on this truck. I don't care. If you do want to raise your shift points or whatever, you can program one of those transmission files on it. But other than that, we're pretty much done. The truck should be tuned. If we go back again into this vehicle menu, there's a couple things you can do. Like you can go into your vehicle details, change that if you want. Or if you go to functions, set tire pressure monitoring system. I don't know what that is, whatever. If you hit this menu in the top left again and you go to chat, then up at the top here, that is your chat for your truck. You can actually message with the techs if you have any problems with the tunes. And if it's during business hours, they should reply to you. But don't spam these guys with messages. Only message them if you have to for some reason. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. Go to your dashboard if you want, and you can look at gauges, graphs, whatever. But we're done, so I'm going to exit the app. Make sure your battery charger isn't going to get caught on anything, but I'm just going to make sure this truck starts. Yeah, sounds good. We have throttle. Oh yeah. Cool, cool. So we just tuned the truck, but we want to make sure the tune worked for the delete. So the way we can confirm the tune worked is your throttle valve right here. We're going to unplug this guy. And back here, that orange plug there, pull the yellow tab back. And then we're gonna unplug that one too. There we go. That's an EGR valve, by the way. Then over on the driver's side, there's another EGR valve here. Again, pull that yellow tab back and then unplug this guy, just like that. So if you're deleting your truck, you have to replace the factory exhaust, but you technically don't have to remove the EGR. But regardless, you must unplug those 3 valves, the 2 EGR valves and the throttle valve. You have to keep those unplugged if you're running delete tuning. But now with those unplugged, we're just gonna go start the truck and make sure we don't have any engine lights. So no engine lights so far. We're gonna shut the truck off. Then we're gonna start it once more. And just make sure we get no engine lights. I already see the engine light went away. But let it run for a minute or two. But yeah, we're good. If there was an issue with the tune, then you would have thrown an engine light by unplugging the EGR and the throttle valve, but we got no codes, so that means the tune was successful. So take your battery charger off. And if you just installed a single tune, which means one power level, whatever you selected, it's gonna stay in that power level the whole time, then you're done. You just tune your truck. But we are installing a switch, which means you're gonna have 5 different power levels that you can turn to on a switch, going from about 0 horsepower to around 180, I think. But really quick, before we install that switch, if you find these videos useful or they help you out and you want to show me a little more support, go to darkirondiesel.com. I got some really cool merch there. Anything you buy directly helps me out. Anyways, let's install this switch. Oh, and this EZ-Lynk, you don't have to leave it plugged in afterwards. Once the truck is tuned, just keep this in your truck if you want to clear codes or monitor anything, but you don't need to leave it plugged in. All right, so first thing we want to do is disconnect the negatives of both batteries because we are going to be unplugging one of the ECM connectors. Once the negatives are disconnected off the batteries, you can pop this little cover off that covers the ECM. So now there's 3 plugs on the ECM. We want to unplug this one on the right side, closest to the firewall or the back of the truck. Now they have these red tabs on them, and you're going to want to pull that tab up like that. Then you can press it with your finger here, and then try to lift this arm up, this lever right here. And you should be able to pull it up, and as you lift it up, it's going to pop off the ECM. And you might have to work it back and forth a little bit. Once the arm's all the way up, you should be able to kind of wiggle this connector off. I'm gonna use 2 hands and try to get it off. There we have it unplugged. Now what you're gonna wanna do is try to push this connector down and then underneath those power steering lines and the other cables. And we're just gonna try to push it down and get it unwrapped from them and then pull it up over here so we can work on it. I ended up unplugging the other two connectors just so I could push this one down a little easier. Now I just gotta kind of pull it the rest of the way down and around those power steering lines. I got it over here now. So now I'm just gonna push this intercooler pipe out of the way and bring it over here. And there we go. Now we can actually work on this thing. So now open up your switch. Make sure you don't lose this little Allen key. Save it there for later. We're gonna unwrap these wires and we need to run these wires through the firewall into the engine bay. So now the easiest way to do that is to grab, if you have an earlier LML, you might have a bracket right here. It's best to just remove it to give you a little more room. But the easiest way is to grab this hood latch cable and we're just gonna pop it out. Some guys like to go through here. That's kind of more difficult to run wires through there. I'm showing you the easy way, and see, I just popped this thing out and now there's a hole right there behind it. I really don't care how you get the wires into the engine bay through the firewall, but that's what we gotta do. So now I'm using a coat hanger that I have unwound, and I'm just going to feed the coat hanger through that hole very gently, not to push too hard. You're gonna wanna go into the cab of the truck and kind of see where it's coming out and maybe help pull it through from the cab. Try to point it in the same direction that that hood latch cable is going and just follow the hood latch cable. Now if we look from in the cab, I found it and I was able to pull it out a little bit, and now we got it through. Then grab these wires and tape them onto the coat hanger, and that's how we're gonna pull them through into the engine bay. Gently pull the cables through. You wanna make sure they don't get caught on anything. And there we go, we pulled them through. So now you can take the tape off so that we just have the wires here. So pull enough wire into the engine bay that you're gonna be able to run it down underneath the power steering lines and up to this connector. Now start your loom, and you're gonna wanna put the loom and just slide it all the way down. You're gonna wanna make sure that the loom is going into the cab a little bit, just because that's a pretty sharp edge and you don't want the wires to rub on it. Just like that, and see how it's going in there so it protects it from that sharp edge. So now we have to work on this connector. So use a little pick and just kind of pry off this top cover here, just like that. Cut this little zip tie right here too, and then try to kind of take some of this tape off just so we can move these wires around a little bit more and control them a bit better. I just gently cut this back a little bit, and now we can move these wires around. So now we're gonna take off this gray cover right here. You're just gonna use a pick, and you're literally just gonna kind of pry it up very gently. You don't wanna break it. Just very gently like that. I kind of popped this right side up a little bit, as you can see, and now I'm just gonna do the same to the left side. There we go. So I want to be very careful that you don't break this. So just kind of go back and forth from the left side to the right side until it comes off. So the holes we're going to be using are pin 11, which if you hold the connector like this, the top left is number 1. So if you count over to 11, it's that open hole right there. If you have a 2011 truck, you're gonna have a wire in that hole and you're gonna have to pop it out. But 2012 and newer won't have any wires in there. And the second location is 35, which actually, if you see those 3 open holes right there, 35 is gonna be the one on the far right side. So locate those holes on the back side, and I'll put a picture up right here that shows you where they are located if you're looking at it from this side. But like I said, again, this is gonna be 11 because we're looking at it from the back side now. If you have a wire in there because you have a 2011 truck, then you're just gonna use a little tiny pick in there. And if you look closely, these things have little kind of locking tabs. You just kind of have to pop the tab to the side with a pick, and then you can pull the wire out. But since this truck is not 2011, we don't have wires in any of those holes. So in pin 11 and pin 35, you can see they have kind of black plugs in the holes. We need to pop those plugs out so we can put wires in there. So the way I'm gonna pop those pins out is I'm gonna grab, this is a 1/16 drill bit. It's the smallest one I have. It's absolutely tiny. I'm gonna locate this side of the connector, and then I'm gonna use the flat side of it, and I'm gonna stick it into pin 11. Very gently. By the way, that right there, that is pin 11 if you're looking at it from this side, and pin 35 will be that one right there. So again, we'll start with 11. Flat side of the drill bit is gonna go in pin 11. Be very careful with it. And then this is how I do it. I actually push this connector down, and I'm gonna push it up against this master cylinder. Kind of just like that. I'm gonna need 2 hands for this, but you're gonna wanna be very careful. Keep this as straight as possible or as flat as possible. and then you're just gonna push against the master cylinder, and it will take a decent amount of force, but you should be able to push and it will pop that black pin out. There is the little plastic pin. Throw that away. As you can see, my drill bit did go through on both sides. So we took the pin out of 11. Now again, I'm gonna move it over to this slot right here. Gotta be so careful with these. Right there, that should be pin 35. I'll try to do this with one hand to show you. So if I push it, I swear if I break this because I'm trying to film it for you, I'm gonna be pissed. There we go. It looks fine. There's my drill bit out the backside. I don't know where that pin went. It just fell out when I did that. But that's how I get them out. All right, so now we are ready to put these pins in. So I'm gonna wanna run this wire down kind of underneath this stuff. And then it's gonna actually go underneath the power steering lines when we hook this back up. There, if you see, here's my switch cable. See, it goes down. And you actually wanna put it on the back side of these power steering lines. I don't know if you can really see that, but see my power steering lines up here? See all my wires right there? They're ran behind this power steering line. And then you can just kind of have it coming up over here and to the plug. And then we have enough slack in here that we're gonna be able to fish this back underneath those power steering lines and plug it back in when we're done. So now back looking at this side of the switch, right there, because this is pin number 1 over here. So if you count over to 11, that should be 11 right there. That's the hole we punched the plug out of. You're gonna put your yellow wire in pin 11, okay? Yellow wire in pin 11. Take note about how these metal parts of the pin are orientated, and then make sure you orientate this the right way. And then you're just gonna slide in the yellow wire into pin 11 here until you hear it click. All right, there, we got it in. And if you look on this side, you can see our nice shiny new pin, and it's orientated the right way. It clicked. You can give it a little tiny pull test. Make sure that it doesn't come out. And then the black wire right there, you're gonna do the same thing on that open hole down there. That is pin 35. On this truck, it's next to an orange and black wire, and you can put that pin in as well. So black is going in pin 35. And there we go, we got our black wire in. Right there, shiny new pin. Again, it's orientated the same way as the rest. I don't think it will clip into place if you don't have it orientated the proper way. But once those are in, we're gonna put that gray cover back on here. Just like that, it just snaps back into place. So now what I like to do is tape this back up a bit with some electrical tape, kind of like that. And then we're gonna get a zip tie, and we're gonna zip tie this back where we cut that zip tie from. There we go, I got a nice little zip tie on there. And now you can put your cover back on. And there we go, we got it back together. So now feed this back underneath there, underneath the power steering lines, and then back up into its home right here. And we're gonna plug this connector in. If you unplug these ones as well, you can plug those back in, and they are color coordinated, so you shouldn't mess it up. And there we are, we plugged them back in, we pushed those levers down until they latched, and then the little red tab, just lock it back in place. It's kind of a pain in the ass to reroute it down there underneath again, but down here, if you can see, this is our wire for our switch. So you're gonna wanna make sure that that cable or the new wire is zip tied all nice and neat out of the way. Maybe pull the slack up here, just zip tie it nice. You can put this cover back on top of the ECM. There we go, cover's back on. This is all nice and zip tied out of the way. Make sure it's not gonna get caught on your steering shaft. Hook your negatives on your batteries back up, and then we're gonna test the switch. So go into the truck and put the key to the run position. Grab your switch, make sure it's all the way into the number 1 or counterclockwise position. And then there's a little button right here. Just press that button and see that green light comes on. I'll shut my light off, but see that? Now what you want to do is rotate the position to like 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then as you rotate the position, the light's gonna get dimmer when you press it. So I'm in position 3 now. Light's dimmer. Just gonna do it again. Now I'm in position 5. See how that light's dim? Go back to position 1 and it's bright again. Turn the key off. And that's how we know our switch is functioning properly. So now we just have to mount it in the truck. So you can mount the switch wherever you want. You just have to make sure that wherever you're mounting it to, there's room for this part of the switch behind it. I'm not really sure where I'm gonna put this yet. On the 2011 to 14 body styles, I'll often put them up here. but it doesn't look like we can do that on these trucks. So I might end up just kind of putting it in over here, maybe over here, I don't know. I'm gonna pop this thing out and see what's underneath it. I think there's just 2 Torx screws that hold it in, and then you can just pop it out. Yeah, once you have those screws out, you can just pop this thing out and pull it. But I'm really not seeing that many good places to mount to. We can't mount it where this metal part is, it's gonna be too thick. But down here in this open area, which kind of put the switch right around here, I think that's where I'm gonna have to go. So grab a 3/8 drill bit, pick a spot where you want, and drill a hole. Like I said, if you find a better place or somewhere else you wanna mount the switch, be my guest. This is just where I happen to be doing it. And there we go, I drilled my hole. So I'm gonna grab this switch. Make sure you run these wires underneath the dash in a good spot. And basically, my switch is gonna be sitting kind of like here. Now do yourself a favor, and do you see right here, that little nipple that my finger's touching? I'm just gonna snip that off with a pair of side cutters. As you can see, it's gone now. Then you're gonna wanna take off this nut and the washer underneath it. And then you're just gonna feed this in there. And then on the other side, you're gonna put your nut and washer back on. Okay, I got my nut and washer off. Then just be careful that this metal washer in there, see it's got a little detent in it. Make sure it doesn't fall out. If it does, you have to make sure you put that back in the same hole. This switch is actually capable of going from like 1 position to like 19 or something. And it just depends where that little thing is orientated, depends on how many switch positions you have. There you go, the switch is installed. I put that nut on. Now I'm just gonna put this thing back up in place and we'll put the knob on. There we go. These wires here underneath, just make sure you have the switch wires zip tied out of the way so they're not gonna get caught on anything. Now grab this knob and the Allen key. If you want, you can put this sticker on. You just have to take the nut off and then you can put this sticker on if you want. But me personally, I think they look kind of tacky, so I don't put them on. But grab this knob, locate the set screw right there, loosen it off with the Allen key, and then you can slide this onto the switch and you can tighten up that set screw. And there you go, the switch is installed. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you find yours is really kind of hard to rotate, just loosen that set screw and pull the knob off just a little bit and then retighten it, because sometimes they can rub on the nut. But that's all good. So again, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out this kit. I will also be uploading the full delete video showing how to do the exhaust and the EGR delete. But that is it for the switch. I hope this video was easy for you to follow. Make sure to check me out on Instagram at Dark Iron Diesel. Go to darkirondiesel.com to get some super sweet merch. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on another video soon.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.